Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Good and Bad of the Week podcast with me, Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me. You can't see him, but you can hear him. It's NJ.
What's up?
We are the British Fist, of course, as you all well know. Ka-ching, boy. Make sure you subscribe up above, of course. This is on YouTube now. Like this video and get your comments on anything that happened this week in WWE and TNA down below in that comment section.
And please contact us in the links in the description box below.
Yes, and on this episode of Good and Bad of the Week, we'll be attempting to make a little bit of a shorter one, won't we? Just to see how it goes. If you have any feedback out there on this Good and Bad of the Week podcast, make sure you know about it. Also, keep sending in questions to our Q&A. You can get us on facebook.com/British Fist, YouTube inbox us, which is our preferred choice of question means, or comment on the Q&As as well if you want to. Also, we've got SmackDown coming on Tuesday night instead of the Q&A, so we'll switch the Q&A with SmackDown, and SmackDown will be done on Tuesday evening. So make sure you check that out.
So guys, please sit back and enjoy our Good and Bad of the Week.
Like I am right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
So the first person we saw in the week of wrestling was the WWE champion Alberto Del Rio.
Which we should do.
Yep, until Cena came out and just like sort of ripped him apart.
Took away his spotlight.
Yeah. This opening segment to me was very good. You know, I thought it was good. But the trouble about it is Del Rio didn't get much mic time. And I think as WWE champion, when he's in the ring with CM Punk and Triple H and guys like that, he needs mic time, doesn't he?
He does, because as the new WWE champion, you do expect more from him. You do expect him to say how great he is and all that. So for it to be stopped by someone who is his future challenger, I just didn't think it was fair.
Yeah, I did enjoy this opening segment though, just because the exchanges between the wrestlers were very good. And although Alberto Del Rio was a bit phased out on mic, I think it achieved what it was supposed to achieve, and that was the creating of the main event. And the whole main event was pretty much the whole point of this.
I do want to agree with you, but at the same time, most of that we had Del Rio come out first, but it basically became more about Cena and Punk. Del Rio was just standing there, taking what was being said.
But I guess that was our main event, so they kind of had to focus it a little bit. I would have liked a bit more focus on Del Rio. To be honest, I'd have liked this segment to a little bit shorter, but we didn't get that, unfortunately. It was a bit longer than I expected.
It was, but again, as much as I don't like how they did it, it gave us what it did, the main event.
Yeah. But then at least we had Alberto Del Rio in a match next. We had him against John Morrison, remember? They announced him versus John Morrison.
I wouldn't say at least, because him going against John Morrison's return, people used to like John Morrison, so put him against someone that is expected to win weren't really fair.
So is that one of the reasons you didn't like this segment then?
This segment, I was expecting more from John Morrison, and put him against someone that's expected to win. I just didn't really like this.
I mean, you already had your main event set, so I can understand why Del Rio was like the kind of next match. And a guy that, to have a match Del Rio versus John Morrison, to me is a very good. It's a match I kind of wanted to see. The match lasted 12.5 minutes. I didn't think the title match was that bad, and I think having Morrison in there, who's not really involved in a title feud, wasn't a bad choice. Even though really he kind of needs a bit of momentum, doesn't he?
If they had John Morrison win matches beforehand and then had this match, I would have been great. Let's go for it. But sadly, John Morrison's not been on a losing streak.
Yeah.
So this didn't do him any favours.
So basically, they had to make Del Rio win because he's the champion, and then in that sort of, you have to bury John Morrison a little bit. I'm surprised R-Truth didn't interfere. I really was.
That would have made the match more of a save and more of a good thing for John Morrison.
It would be better booking for storyline development, wouldn't it?
It would have been.
And not bury John Morrison too much. So, we had the Divas match, which was crap. We don't really want to go on to that, do we?
No, we do not.
No. But the thing is, though, the next segment I didn't think was very good either. They had you had Alex Riley versus Swagger going on the ring for the second week in a row, and then you had Vicky. You had the whole thing there between Dolph and Vicky and Swagger, and it's just like Alex Riley. You get in a match. He's going to be your hope. I think he's going to be the future #1 contender for the US title, even though he hasn't really been in a #1 contendership match. And you're focusing too much on this whole bullshit between Ziggler, Swagger, and Vicky, and it's just like I didn't really enjoy that. I didn't enjoy this segment at all.
Well, the way that you have Alex Riley hovering around Dolph Ziggler, you do expect there's going to be more of a feud going between them. But to put Swagger in the picture, I guess if they're going to put Swagger into this feud and have a triple threat at a pay-per-view, then go for it. But if not, Swagger really weren't needed.
I really would have liked to have seen them develop a Dolph A-Ride feud without Swagger in there. Do you know what I mean? This is a feud that I kind of wanted to see for the US title, and I thought they could have used that feud to get Vicky Guerrero away. I don't know why they've done this, but I guess Swagger did kind of need a then because his blood is screwed up.
He does, and I'm thinking maybe they'll continue that in the next couple of weeks, but they really need to concentrate on what they're possibly going to have, which is the Ziggler and A-Right.
So this real feud did not have any concentration on the US title feud potential to Night of Champions. So in my opinion, this was a very bad segment, and one of the reasons I gave Raw a C this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was really hoping more for A-Right, because obviously he's the future one who's going to go against Ziggler, and this just didn't do him much favours. It concentrated more on Jack Swag's involvement with Vicky. Really.
Speaking of the future, we have Kevin Nash in the segment with Triple H. Kevin Nash. I say future, I meant the past. Basically, this segment was done to explain, so Triple H can sort of assert his authority on Nash, saying that he doesn't work for WWE. Triple H tells Nash to leave. And then when Punk came out, I think the whole segment got a lot better, in my opinion.
It did. You had Punk being great on mic as it is, and you had Big Daddy Cool Diesel having his part,
What was that?
I just thought that would be good.
Okay, man, that was a big laugh. Triple H gets in Punk's face, and there's good. You see real heat between them two, and then you have the whole Kevin Nash hitting CM Punk thing. It was developed very, very well throughout the whole night. I think this whole feud was.
They did definitely concentrate on this whole Triple H, Punk, Kevin Nash thing throughout the night. So I think it definitely gave us more of a tease of what's going to happen there.
I thought the segment was very well done as soon as CM Punk came out, but I think Nash on the mic at the moment is a bit weak in my opinion, and we all want to know now who the fuck sent that text.
Yeah, there's many people hovering about. Like, we still think Steph's involvement somewhere there.
We had John Laurinaitis tease through the night, didn't we?
There's a big chance it could be him, so it's gave us wondering again, like we said, next week what's going to come from this.
Yeah, so it was a decent segment, but I think it could have been better. I think Nash needs a bit more polishing skills on his mic skills, to be honest.
Pretty much, but again, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere just yet, so he's probably going to get better.
Possible match with Punk and Nash at Night of Champions, I've heard.
A big possibility, yeah.
Oh, God. Next, we had a tag team match. I always look forward to tag team action, and this week we had a Tonga and McGillicuddy versus Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne. We saw last week that Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne beat the tag team champions, and so what does that mean? It means they get a shot at the tag team championships. I just wonder why they didn't build this feud to Night of Champions, even though I was pleased with the outcome of this segment.
Because all I can really see them doing in result of this Raw is them having a rematch, and that's going to be pretty boring, because you're like, at pay-per-views, you expect title changes and all that, and you've just had a title change now.
I know, you had a title change on free TV, have it at the pay-per-view where it could mean more for these guys, rather than on a free TV.
And plus, that's another thing, if they did have the title match at the pay-per-view, they could have had 2 more weeks of build-up.
Yeah, which it's kind of needed, really, didn't it?
It would have needed it.
It just shows how little writing goes into the tag team division, really, doesn't it? Because I thought the match was very good. I did enjoy the title change. It's just that, why don't you build it to a pay-per-view? It's simple booking, isn't it, really?
And as we all know, the next pay-per-view is all about the titles, so it would have made more sense.
You're forced to book it. You might as well do it. I was just glad the belts are off Matunga, Otunga and McGillicuddy, because I really didn't like them as tag team champs.
I agree with that so much, but I'm just thinking, I'm going to keep repeating this because I was really disappointed with this match. It was done at the wrong time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. So kind of good and bad elements in that segment, in my opinion.
We feel that, yeah.
Yeah, and this next segment was quite interesting, wasn't it? We had Santino come out, and we're thinking, Santino's got a match! Who against? And all of a sudden he gets attacked by R-Truth and Miz, 2 people who weren't really featured tonight, and I was wondering when they were going to come in. They get some mic time, and they cut what I thought was a very, very good promo. I was really enjoying the stuff they were saying on mic.
It had the entertainment factor, and it also had the fact how the W were treating them at the minute, so that was good.
What I liked about this is they really did look like a tag team, and they really did seem like a tag team that could challenge Evan Bourne and Kofi Kingston, even though it would be a bit of a step down. At least it gives them something to do. Because I look at that Night of Champions card, and I think to myself, well, R-Truth and Miz are 2 good guys that you don't have on that card. Why not just put them in this tag title scene?
I think it will make the match quite interesting because you have 2 high flyers, which are new tag champs, versus 2 heels, which I think work well with each other.
And they worked the crowd very well, didn't they, with the whole what thing? I think R-Truth, out of the 2, I think R-Truth outshone Miz a little bit. I like R-Truth's interaction with the crowd. I think they really did well. And the crowd was very good, I think, at Raw. So
I think, as we all know, Miz is great on mic. So to give it to R-Truth, I think it was good to see him working, get the crowd going, So I think definitely well done.
It was definitely a good segment. It was a segment I enjoyed, even though I didn't think I'd win some random stuff. But it was. I thought it was just very good. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a good segment.
As we said before, promos like this are needed,
and this was a good thing for Raw.
Yeah, it definitely developed them as a sort of force, kind of, didn't it? Maybe in the tag team division, maybe in singles.
Fingers crossed there.
Who knows? They could be very good in the tag team division, in my opinion.
Could be.
Next, we have the main event, of course. Cena versus CM Punk. This is the third time we've seen it now. Number one contendership for the World Heavyweight Championship, for the WWE Championship and Night of Champions. We knew these two were going to put on a good match, didn't we? We had Del Rio and Laurinaitis at ringside. We had the whole sort of Kevin Nash has been in a car accident thing before.
And the thing is, we've had this match 3 times, so we've already got the feel of these two in a match, so we know it's going to put on a good match. And with the Del Rio and Laurinaitis at ringside, you expected there's going to be some kind of screw or some kind of involvement with them two, so it makes the match good.
The match went 15 minutes. It was a very good match in my opinion. You know these two are going to put on a great match, like we said. We had Kevin Nash come out to distract Punk, which kind of gave Cena the win, and I kind of like this. Not because Cena won, because the fact that it shows the direction that WWE are going in. They're going with Cena, Del Rio, and Punk and Nash, and I think this segment did that very effectively, in my opinion.
There has been thought of having a Triple Threat Night Champions, but the fact they've done this instead, they pushed each feud in different directions now. I think they've cleared it. They've made it definite that these two are 2 different feuds going to Night Champions.
So we had a good match, good implications in it with that, and then we had the post-match where Del Rio beat on Cena. Something which fucking Randy Orton can learn a lesson from. Let the heel get one up on you and let Del Rio look strong. And it shows how much confidence WWE have in Del Rio, in my opinion, that they're booking him this strong, because they never did this with The Miz when he first started his title reign.
No, because the thing is, for the last 2 weeks or so, we've had Del Rio looking strong.
Yeah.
And for him to look strong against his future opponent, I think definitely did great for the end of Raw and definitely did great for Del Rio.
Yeah, so a very effective main event, in my opinion. Set up Night of Champions very well in more ways than one. Showed your champion very strong. So all in all, I did think this was one of the better segments of the night. I enjoyed it.
That's true. So if we just say that with these two, it's definitely got us ready for the CM Punk and Kevin Nash feud thing and the Cena and Del Rio.
Do you want to add some overall thoughts, or do you want to save that to the end?
We'll save that to the end.
Okay then, so now we'll go on to TNA Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, let's.
So next we had TNA Impact Wrestling, and this week we opened with Kurt Angle. Thank God we didn't fucking open with Immortal this week, because I'm fed up of them opening the show.
That's very much true, but sadly, that weren't really going to last long.
Yeah, but we had a good exchange, I thought, between Angle and Crimson. I thought it was a very, very good exchange. They were both putting each other over. Crimson said he wants to earn Angle's respect and stuff like that, and I thought the exchange between them two was very, very good. I enjoyed it. But then Immortal interfered, and I was just like, why?
Because the thing is, with Angle and Crimson, they were putting on a great opening. They were thinking, yes, they're going back and forth with each other. They're hyping something up there. Mm-hmm. So I think, to be honest, they should have just left it at that.
Yes, they should have. This segment lasted about 8 minutes. I really did enjoy this opening segment. The exchange between Crimson and Angle, I can overlook the whole Immortal thing. They didn't do anything. They weren't needed there. Overall, I think the segment, I liked the opener. It was a good amount of time. It had the right people in it, apart from Immortal. So I'm going to give this a positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't see much negative what they were saying. They definitely gave us a feel to their main event match.
It was just the interaction, which was very good. And like you said, it's set up for the main event as well, so it was good. The next segment we had was Kid Cash versus Jesse Sorensen. What can be described as a second X Division feud, which can only be good for the X Division. It shows that TNA are actually concentrating on this X Division now and trying to write for it a bit more.
With these particular two X Divisions, I'm not really too fond of them, but I say it was mainly back to the aftermatch that actually was the highlight of this particular part of TNA.
The aftermath of this, I think the aftermath is definitely more important than the match, because you see a lot more about the characters. You see the feud develop, and you see why the feud has developed. You see the hatred they have between each other with the interview segment. So I thought after the match was a very good segment. I also thought the Kid Cash winning by pulling on the tights in about 3.5 minutes. Although the match didn't get enough time, it was still a good way to end it, because Kid Cash is the heel, and it kind of helped develop their aftermath as well. So I did enjoy that.
That's true, because the aftermatch, it definitely said, they gave us the feeling that these two are going to continue fighting with each other to prove which is the better one out of the two. So it was good.
I expect Kid Cash to put over Jesse Sorensen.
It would be good to see, even though both these two I'm not really much of an awareness of. So if we see them continue rivalry, I look forward to see what happens.
I think with Jesse Sorensen, I think what we need is a little bit of promo time. We need to buy into his character a little bit more. We need to know a little bit more about him so we can buy into him. But as soon as we get that, we kind of got a little insight into that and the segment itself. As soon as we get that, I think we can buy into him, and it will be a good rivalry.
That's true. That's what we need.
Let's hope. We then get a Bound for Glory series match between RVD and Pope. RVD wins by submission. Has he ever won by submission before?
No, and I was really thinking of Robert Dun's Jerry
Lynn.
Jerry Lynn.
When is he going to interfere? I mean, he didn't.
No, which was quite surprising because it gave Robert Dunn a clean finish.
Yeah, and he got 10 points for it as well. I actually thought this match was good for the time it got. I do wish, though, they'd put a little bit more emphasis on the whole finals thing at No Surrender. It didn't seem like they were putting too much emphasis. It seems like a lot of the times they're focusing on side storylines rather than this whole BFG series, which should be important because it is the ultimate goal for someone to try and win the World Heavyweight Championship.
That's very much true because obviously they're in this big Bound for Glory series. Mm-hmm. It's important, but I'm still thinking for the losers who are not going to get far,
need something.
They need something. Yes. So when the Bound for Glory series finish, you're not left with them thinking, "Oh, what do we do now?"
Yeah,
they've got things going for them.
I agree with you. Devon, we hear also that Devon is injured because of the Samoa Joe attack last week. And when RVD wins with the submission victory, we get Samoa Joe coming out and attacking Pope. So I assume that Pope is injured. And it shows Samoa Joe as a sort of rampant heel, which is something I really, really want to see because that is who Samoa Joe plays best.
The interesting thing I'm going to say about this, it's not a big thing, but Devon took his time getting in the ring to save Pope. So I'm thinking they're still going to continue with the Pope and Devon rivalry sort of thing. But it's good to see that Samoa Joe's been dominant in this segment.
Which is exactly how we need to see him. That's exactly how he needs to be booked, in my opinion, especially seeing as he's not going to be involved in the Bound for Glory Series tournament anymore. It's a good way to give him a push, maybe going into a rivalry with someone like a Matt Morgan or something.
That could be the case, yeah. I think so.
Next we have that Hogan Flair segment and Sting segment. 3 old men talking in a ring.
This was quite interesting because basically they were concentrating on trying to get out of this whole fight between Hogan and Sting. It didn't end that way, obviously.
But Flair doesn't shut his fucking mouth, does he?
No.
I did enjoy the interaction between Flair and Sting because I know a lot of people might not like this, but I wouldn't mind seeing Flair and Sting one more time. I know they're two old wrestlers, but I know them two can put on a good match together. I wouldn't mind seeing it one more time. I just want to know, is it going to be a No Surrender? Is it going to be on free TV? Because we didn't really get a hint, did we?
So the thing is, I think they've got about 2 or so
3 weeks
to try and hype it up. I think if they can last that long, it'd be a great match to have at pay-per-view.
Definitely, and it would help, and it would definitely help the Sting-Hogan feud go on to Bound for Glory because we know it's going to happen now, so we might as well accept it. It would definitely help that feud going forward into the biggest pay-per-view of the year for TNA. So
I was quite liking how they built up to that final announcement that Sting will face Hogan. The way they built it up in that segment, I just think it was just awesomely done. Entertaining, and it got straight to the point.
I did enjoy the segment very much, so I'll give it a definite positive.
Same here.
It's just what TNA needed, a good promo segment with, because they can't do anything else with Flair and Hogan, can they?
No, not really.
Next we had AJ Styles and Daniels, a segment between them two. It was very emotional, wasn't it?
It was hard to watch. I was like, cool. We're here for positiveness, but this was so hard to watch.
But the thing is, on Good and Bad of the Week, we can do both, so...
We can
introduce another one in Good, Bad, and Emotional of the Week. But what I liked about this segment is you had Daniels sort of saying he wanted one more match, that he's thinking of retiring, and he wants to know if he still has it, which kind of gives a lot of meaning into this match. He wants to know if he still has it. They're going to have one more match next week on Impact due to the whole BFG series. Part of me is thinking, oh, right, great, we've got a match for next week now. But other part of me is thinking, this match won't get anywhere near enough time for what it needs. Maybe we should put it at a pay-per-view.
Yeah, because when you think of these two, they've had matches many times before. So it is a pay-per-view worthy match. But
main event of Destination X, for God's sake.
There we go. And if they have it on TNA, as long as it's going to be an entertaining match, I'm not going to fault it.
No, I'm really looking forward to this match. I do know these two can put on a good match, so I won't worry about this too much. Just set out the match next week.
And look forward to see what happens to Chris Daniels after this.
Yeah, I think Chris Daniels might be turning heel, personally, but that's just my opinion.
We'll have to see next week.
It makes us want to tune in next week, doesn't it? That's the main thing from this segment. It makes us want to tune in next week to see this.
TNA done very good with that.
They did. We'll go on to a bit more of that at the end of the video. Next we had a random, one of those TNA random street fight, not Falls Count Anywhere matches they have. AJ Styles and Beer Money versus Immortal, Steiner, Gunner, and Bully Ray in a Bound for Glory series match. This match was alright. I didn't mind this. The only problem I had with this was the fact that you had so much going on here, so much going on there, it was really hard to keep up with the action.
As much as that is true, each segment showed some definitely good spots, good backstage moments.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, it had this big moment in the ring. The match that rounded it all up. Bully Ray was in the ring with AJ, which I think are the biggest two out of the groups.
I do have why is Bully Ray picking up the bitch around AJ Styles though? I don't really understand.
AJ's losing streak, I was really hoping that maybe the faces were going to pick up the win here. It would have been good for AJ to pick up the win over someone as big as Buddy Ray.
Yeah. The match lasted 6 minutes, which to me, it was kind of the theme of the night. I think a lot of TNA's matches didn't last anywhere near enough time, especially for a Falls Count Anywhere street fight match. But I guess Buddy Ray gets his 7 points. I'd have liked it if someone like Robert Roode got the points, but I guess you can't always get that.
No, and the thing with the night as well, the thing about it weren't the match itself, it was after the game.
He had Anderson return on a Hummer. He's driving a Hummer of all things. And then he puts Steiner through a table and
he bashed Gunner's head with the chain.
Yeah, it was a good return. I'll say this though, I do enjoy seeing Anderson return, but I think maybe a bit more of an Impact return could have been at the pay-per-view, but TNA's focus on ratings and the TV programs, you're always going to have to expect that some guy like Anderson's going to return on a TV taping.
And the way I see it, that even though Buddy Ray is high in the Bound for Glory table, I'm thinking they're going to hit a Anderson and Buddy Ray rematch
possibly
down the line.
Possibly down the line somewhere.
Looks like it.
And Abyss didn't help. He didn't want to help Immortal. Maybe he's turning face all of a sudden.
And he could pull out the faction, so that could be something different for Abyss.
Yeah, he needs to grow his teeth back though if he wants to be a face, I think. We also had a very interesting backstage segment with Mickie James, I feel. Basically, he was hyping the title match for next week, which it gives us something to look forward to again next week, which I thought TNA did very well tonight. I really liked how they hyped it for next week, just like in SmackDown when we were talking about it. They highlighted the next SmackDown very well.
That's true, because the good thing about this is that we do want to see Mickie James wrestle.
Yeah.
And for her to get into a match next week is just going to be great for her and great for the knockout match.
I just have one question though. Winter has not been featured that much on TV in the 3 weeks she's been knockout champion. Why is this match not at the pay-per-view? Why isn't the knockout title match at the pay-per-view? Why is it on a free TV? I don't understand.
As you said earlier, it's all about ratings, and I think having knockout matches on live TV is going to be good.
I just don't get the logic there. But we'll move on anyway because we have an Eric Young segment next, and it's just why are you having these on TV? I don't understand. That's a definite negative for us.
Big one.
But we got to the main event, and Crimson versus Angle was a match I was really looking forward to because you didn't know he was going to break the undefeated streak or everything. It was quite good. I was looking forward to it.
As much as I want to agree to you, I can't because, well, of course I can't. I just won't agree with you because these two are meant to be maybe future opponents of each other, and having it now is just making me think: are we going to get to see just a highlight of what's going to come in the future?
Yeah. I will say one thing though. Now that Crimson, I think Crimson is now injured, so maybe he's going to be out of the BFG series now.
Good build-up and now
yes. One thing I didn't like about this match though is you had a fucking commercial break during the match, and it's just like, could you not take that Eric Young segment out, put the adverts there, and have this whole match on TV? Because this match a lot of people wanted to see, and to have a fucking commercial there was just stupid in my opinion.
Because they definitely hyped this up from the beginning. Yeah. You got them both. All of us, the fans, wanting this match, and when it comes to it, they delivered pretty well. Yeah. I give them that. They put on a great match, but obviously, the ending was pretty much set in stone.
It was, yeah. Crimson won by DQ after Samoa Joe come out. I did not expect to see Samoa Joe come out. At least Crimson now, at least his undefeated streak is still continuing, which is good. I think that needs to continue.
If they are going to face each other in future, it's still open to who's going to win.
Yeah, and I think the match itself, I think Crimson was slowed down by Angle, which is kind of needed in matches, so they can drag it out so it doesn't all the spots aren't done at once. But Samoa Joe coming out in the main event and ending the show pretty much I really enjoyed that. Just Samoa Joe coming out, asserting his dominance once again, like a Mark Henry does on SmackDown. I really enjoyed how they did that.
The thing with Samoa Joe, he's getting involved in so many things here now, so it's wondering if he is going to have matches, who is he going to face?
He's got a lot of enemies now, hasn't he?
He has a lot there.
Yeah. And we didn't necessarily end the night with, we did, but basically we got all the matches for next week's Impact announced.
True.
Which is good in one sense, but I wonder why they can't announce their pay-per-view matches as well.
They needed to. They need
to do some tonight because there's not much time to know around 2 or 3 weeks. But they announced their next week's matches, which I thought was very good. It makes me look forward to the show, which is one thing I liked about this TNA Impact.
And hopefully next week they'll give us the matches for the pay-per-view.
Yes, hopefully next week. And then we end the show with a backstage segment. And, usually I don't like this, but it was the whole Joe attacking Crimson's knee and then attacking the cameraman and saying that he hasn't broke his streak, but he's broke his leg.
Because that's the big thing. Samoa Joe's taking out the big guy, the guy who's got the undefeated streak, so why not? He's definitely gone for the right wrestler here.
Yeah, and I think this is a great way to end Impact. Him kicking the cameraman down and the camera going black. I really enjoyed the end. I really did. It was good.
And who knows who Crimson's going to face next week if he is going to be able to.
Or who is Samoa Joe going to attack next?
That's interesting.
Gives us questions, doesn't it? So I think I really enjoyed this episode of Impact, but I could still only give it a C.
Yeah, because there's many things that weren't needed, but most of it gave us a positive feeling for next week.
Definitely, but we'll touch on that in our overall thoughts. So
we will.
Should we go on to SmackDown then?
Yeah, let's.
And now we get on to Friday's dose of wrestling in WWE SmackDown. We've begun this week with the main event being announced between Sheamus and Mark Henry. I enjoyed the fact they announced the main event straight away because it immediately puts the focus on your main event, which they did very well throughout the night, in my opinion.
Yeah, because with the main event, you expect it to be Orton, so for it to be Sheamus versus Mark Henry, it definitely gave us a good feeling to the main event to be something different.
Yes, definitely. And we open up this week with SmackDown's general manager, Bret Hart, because Teddy Long is off somewhere, probably shagging Oksana or something.
Probably, and Bret Hart, yeah, let's not get into that.
Yeah, well, he announces live SmackDown for next week with the Raw and SmackDown Superstars. I like the fact they're at least announcing it and letting people know it's going to be live. And they had someone like Bret Hart do it, which was kind of good, I think.
Yeah, that kind of point, because he only came for this part of the night, so I can give it that.
Yeah, and then we get Christian interfering, doing his usual, coming down in the opening segment and interfering.
Moaning
and blaming other people and saying he's entitled to a rematch, which he is. But he just doesn't... Well, I don't understand why they go through all this fucking lawyer shit with him. Why don't they just give him his rematch? It's really hurt his character, in my opinion, this whole lawyer stuff, hiding behind lawyers.
All he wanted was to be the next person to face Orton, so for lawyers to give him that, I think Christian, he was going to become the first one to face Orton anyway, so it sucked.
And I think we can quite clearly gather now that it's going to be Mark Henry and Orton at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, and Christian and Orton next week in a steel cage. So for the live SmackDown, that was a good announcement, and we got kind of a little announcement maybe for the pay-per-view as well. So
I guess not the best opening segment, but it did its job for the night.
To be honest,
next week,
I didn't like the fact that Mark Henry and Sheamus came out. I don't know why they came out in this segment. It was kind of needless, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they got the main event, but they should have left it for the main event and the build up towards the main event.
Yeah, so I think out of all three shows this week, I think this is probably the worst opening segment.
I agree.
Just because it was a bit of it were unnecessary, but. As our first match of the night, we get Christian, our number one contender for now, against Daniel Bryan. And for the fourth week in a row, Daniel Bryan loses, despite the fact he's won Money in the Bank and he was booked on Superstars this week. So you can really tell they're having confidence in Daniel Bryan at the moment, can't you?
Yeah, this is really poor for Daniel Bryan because you really want us to expect that he's going to be a future main eventer, future World Heavyweight Champion. And his losing streak, him being put against people like Christian, you do expect a good match, but not at this particular moment in time.
You know, we got a great match between these two. We know we're going to get a great match, but why are they facing off? Christian needs a push, Daniel Bryan needs a push. Can you not do things a little bit differently? Bring in some jobbers, bring in a Tyson Kidd or a Justin Gabriel maybe to the job, maybe in a semi-unclean victory or something. I don't know.
Because I'm going to say this quickly, we get a jobber later. Why can that jobber be involved here instead?
I don't know, but it's just bad booking again, in my opinion.
It is big time.
Making Daniel Bryan look so weak, and I don't know why they're doing this. But
poor Daniel Bryan.
I get another from the Vault segment. Nah. We then get Wade Barrett, a promo with Wade Barrett, which at the time we were thinking, oh good, he's got a match and he's got a mic. The only trouble is, the promo itself was very short. He didn't actually go in his match, although he made some good points. This promo was just too short, and I'm just thinking to myself, is this the best you can do with Wade Barrett? This was an immediate thumbs down segment for me.
As much, because when I saw Wade Barrett, I thought, great, because obviously Wade Barrett, I'm expecting to see in the main event, but giving him this doesn't really give you the Wade Barrett feeling.
No, it was just a really ineffective segment. Why, Wade Barrett just looked so odd in this segment. I don't know why. Is this the best they can do for him, really? Is this the best they can book him in? Why not book him in a feud with Daniel Bryan or book him in a feud with Justin Gabriel? I'm just thinking of some people he could feud with, maybe.
I think they need to try and push him towards the main event.
Same there. And then get a Raw rebound.
Nah.
Why on SmackDown? But at least we get Del Rio versus Sin Cara announced for next week. Again, one recurring theme throughout the night. I think they did very well with the whole announcing the next week's matches thing. We've got like 2 matches or something, haven't we?
I give it that, but again, it weren't the biggest thing of the night.
I just wonder why they're having Del Rio versus Sin Cara.
There we go.
There we go. But next, we do actually have some Sin Cara. We have Heath Slater versus Sin Cara. Usually, I like Sin Cara matches. This one only got 2 minutes. 2 fucking minutes.
We were surprised. We were watching thinking, finished already?
Finished already?
Right, okay.
They had to fucking retape it, though, didn't they? Because the Sin Cara's botching.
The thing is, he botched earlier, but the way it finished, I give Sin Cara a thumbs up. It was a good way to finish.
It's a good finish, but the match didn't really do anything for either of them. It was just another random match. And we heard the news earlier that Sin Cara may may not be coming back to WWE or something.
Bye, Sin Cara!
Well, he is very over with the crowd, but that only gets you so far. You kind of need to be able to work in the ring, and I just didn't see it in this. I don't even know. Was it even Sin Cara or was it Hunico? We don't even know.
I want to say Hunico because I think the other Sin Cara is just taking a long break.
Yeah, this wasn't a very good segment really for SmackDown at all.
Not really, but he says going to get nowhere.
Yeah, the next segment though was very good in my opinion.
I like this.
It was basically Ted DiBiase versus Randy Orton, and we get this really interesting video package hyping up this match. So you have some sort of story, which is something SmackDown really lacks. You have some sort of story going into the match. You had the match itself, and you had some sort of storyline development coming out of it, which is why I thought it was a very good segment, in my opinion.
The good thing about this is that you get the whole legacy feeling at the beginning. They relived that. The match itself, they work so well off each other.
Do, yeah.
I know you don't really expect from Ted DiBiase because he's been getting buried and nothing good's come from him, but you saw how good of a wrestler he actually can be in this match against his old member of Legacy, Randy Orton.
It did put on a very good match together, which doesn't really surprise me. The match went on for 9 minutes. I also liked how before the Orton-Christian match was announced for next week, again, hyping up next week's show, and I also liked the fact that Cody Rhodes is the IC champion, and he's featured in a segment with Randy Orton, which kind of goes to highlight the Intercontinental title a lot more than it has been done recently.
Because for Cody Rhodes to get involved with Randy Orton, that's going to hopefully, after Cody's finished the Intercontinental champion, be lifted more towards Orton. So I think it's good that he's having an involvement there.
Yeah, and the match itself, like Andrew said, was very good. We really did enjoy this match. We really got into it as well. But the aftermath came with Cody Rhodes, Crossroads, doing the Crossroad on DiBiase, and then he bags him, and then you're thinking to yourself, oh, is this going to lead to a rivalry between Cody Rhodes and not Ezekiel Jackson, and Ted DiBiase for the IC title, maybe turning DiBiase face, which he kind of needs, I think.
The way it looks, Cody Rhodes is going to start to need opponents because he's not going to keep going against Z. He's going to need someone different. And why not go against his ex-tag team partner, his trainee? Yeah. It'll be a good match to see.
And we know that them two are going to have great chemistry in the ring, so why not have them in a feud?
That'd be very good, and I think it'd be good. Cody Rhodes, yes, people need to keep putting Cody Rhodes over, but he needs to put Ted over now.
Definitely. I think Ted DiBiase will definitely benefit from this feud, especially if he's face.
True.
We then get a Divas match between Tamina and Kelly Kelly. It really wasn't very good. A definite negative segment. It was just didn't really have anything to it.
Not really.
We then get a Carly and Zeke match, which was really crap. I did not like this match at all.
You've got someone like Carly who's slow. We've said in many videos that he's just can't wrestle. Going against Zeke, who is still trying to get his face thing along, but it's not working for him.
I can understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to put him against the big guy and trying to make him overcome the big guy, but it just didn't achieve anything. It was just another random match, and you just think to yourself, God, this really is filler.
And it's really trying to hype them both because Jinder Mahal wants to hype up Carly more, and Zeke needs to get somewhere better in the WWE. Yeah, that's all we can say about that.
Really, it wasn't very good. One of the worst segments of the night.
It was very so.
But we then had the main event, which we think was a very good segment. You may have seen in our review that we thought this was a good segment. We had an initial Mark Henry video package hyping up Mark Henry as a strong heel. And then we had the match, Sheamus versus Mark Henry in a SummerSlam rematch. I thought this was a good match for what it was.
The way it finished was definitely interesting because we've had Mark Henry beat Sheamus at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Now we're having Sheamus beat Mark Henry in a countout. I thought that was good.
I like the fact they didn't end this match clean because it shows that this rivalry can still continue and it's not burying Mark Henry, it's not burying Sheamus. Again, one of the most important things though was the fact that you had a non-clean finish that those to develop a possible feud in the future, even though Mark Henry is kind of in the title picture at the moment.
That won't last long though.
No, he's going to lose to Orton. I think we all know that at Night Champions.
True.
And he'll have his only championship flustered in front of it.
That's very true. But the thing is, again, just like the rest of this week, it's always the aftermath that really gave it. Mark Henry's fury came out.
Which again, like I said, does something which SmackDown doesn't do very much, and that's develop some kind of storyline, some kind of meaning to the feud, some kind of meaning to the match. And basically, you had Mark Henry and Sheamus attacking each other after the match. But in the end, Mark Henry comes out on top and world's strongest slams him on the ring steps. I really did like the segment. I really liked how strong they made both guys look, especially Mark Henry.
Because the thing is, I could say they're doing good with Mark Henry, but they're pushing to nowhere. Because I don't think he's really going to get anywhere.
No.
He'll be a dominant force, but nothing else. Sheamus, on the other hand, I could see him maybe becoming the future World Heavyweight Champion again.
But I can understand why they're going to try and push Mark Henry when he's going against Orton at Night of Champions.
For now, it's needed,
yes. For now, it was needed. But it's a good way of ending it. They didn't bury either of them, which is usually the problem with SmackDown.
And it didn't finish with Orton, so finishing with these two, which are going to be a possible good feud, I think it was good.
Definite positive. It's good how they focused on other people other than Orton.
That was needed.
Yes, definitely needed. I think there was two good segments in this SmackDown. The rest of it was either mediocre or filler, in my opinion. Shall we go on to our overall thoughts of all 3 shows then, NJ?
Yeah, let's go for that.
Right, let's go. So I think looking at the good and bad of the week, we can really say that all 3 shows this week had a lot of good stuff in it, but they also had a lot of bad stuff in it, which is why we graded a lot of the shows this week as a C. Looking at the show overall, there was a lot of mediocrity when you sort of calculate all the pluses and minuses together.
The way I look at it, most of these Raw, SmackDown, TNAs now need to hype up for their pay-per-view, and they've more concentrated on the following week more than the pay-per-view, which I see as a good thing, yet a bad thing.
It's good in the short term, but in the long term, you really want to get to your pay-per-view, which is going to get you the most money.
The only show that's actually concentrated on the pay-per-view, I'm saying, is Raw.
In the one match.
Yeah, the whole Del Rio and Cena, as well as the maybe Punk and Nash. But the other shows, no.
I think we gave Raw a C+, we gave TNA a C, I think, and we gave SmackDown a C-, which is pretty standard, isn't it? I mean, Raw is usually the better show, TNA is usually in the middle, and SmackDown is usually so bad and badly booked. They only had two good segments on it, in my opinion. The rest of it was a mediocre or filler.
That's true, and I'm thinking they need to start giving us direction on what the WWE are planning on doing. Raw's doing a great job. TNA is slowly getting there, but not as quick as they should. And SmackDown's just not really getting there just yet.
I think TNA is at one of their better points in the year, which is why their shows might be getting a little bit better. With No Surrender and Bound for Glory on the way, whereas SmackDown, we've got, Night of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Vengeance, other pay-per-views like that. It's not really the best time of year for WWE, is it? We've passed SummerSlam now.
No, but they still need to give a direction on what they're doing with their wrestlers, which, again, I can't really feel at this minute. I'm coming out this week thinking Raw's been the show for me this week.
The main event has been done very well. It's just the rest of it hasn't been done very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not doing really well, but they're giving us a good feeling of what could come. That's what they're giving us, more of a feeling, not giving us set standards. They're giving us feelings. So I guess it's okay for a week. Not the best week, though.
Right, so that's really pretty much been our overall thoughts on Raw, SmackDown, and TNA. If you have any thoughts of your own, make sure you get them in that comment section down below. Keep contacting us in that description box down below, and keep subscribing to us, of course. And we are the British Fist, and NJ, do you want to take us out here?
Right, well, you've heard our good and bad views of this week. Please tell us if you agree or disagree. Share your good points and bad points in the description box below. This has been it from Mr. Parkin and me, NJ. What's up? Goodbye!